Dear distinguished guest, this is Chang-woo Park, CEO of AMP. First of all, on behalf of all AMP members, I would like to sincerely welcome you for visiting our Kentucky Elizabeth factory. Especially, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Climate Counselor Ethan Jindler, and to various other officials of the federal and Kentucky government for attending our E-Town factory opening ceremony despite of your busy schedule. I also hope to express my deepest gratitude to Ambassador Hyun-dong Cho of the Republic of Korea to the United States, and Jung-wan Kim, Consul General of the Republic of Korea to United States. Lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to CEO Michael Adams and CFO Jim Craney of Blue Oval SK, which is AMP's the most important customer and co-partner. Dear esteemed guests, since the establishment in year 2000, AMP has continued to cooperate with global companies in various industries based on leading nanotechnology. Our cutting-edge nanotechnology for manufacturing and unrivaled dispersion technology extended our business area to CNT conducting material for lithium-ion battery. Currently, we are in the process of establishing global factories not only in Korea, but also in United States, Europe, Japan, and China. And we are scheduled to begin our mass production at our E-Town, Kentucky factory in May year 2024. So it's very close. With the growth of electric vehicle industry and the influence of IRA, many Korean battery companies are advancing into the United States. The expansion of these companies shows their growing faith in U.S. electric vehicle industry. AMP is committed to supporting these companies and growing together as a distinguished partner. The lithium-ion battery global market will grow at an average annual rate of 25% until year 2030. And the CNT conducting material market will also grow at the annual average of 40% during the period. Starting with the completion of this current phase 1 factory, we will continue expanding the facility up to phase 3 factory to cope with customers' increasing demands. And this will create more than 300 jobs in this area. As the United States will become the most important production base for electric vehicle battery productions, our Elizabeth plant will be the core production base for our global operations. Dear distinguished guests, thank you once again for visiting AMP today. I'm confident that this event will become a monumental milestone for AMP and the opportunity for further advancement. Everyone at AMP is proud of this moment. Lastly, I would like to conclude my speech by expressing my sincere gratitude to Kentucky government official Andy Luther and Elizabethtown Mayor Jeff Gregory and the CEO of Bristol Group Todd Ball for their full support of AMP's Kentucky plant project throughout the entire process. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage His Excellency Hun Dong-jo, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to the United States.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Well, Secretary Yellen, Governor Busher, Mayor Gregory, and CEO Park, well, thank you very much for inviting me today. When I was a child in Korea, we used to learn some classic American songs in school. I still remember that one of my favorite was My Old Kentucky Home. As a kid, we didn't know anything about the songs we were learning, but I've since discovered it's a Kentucky state song and played every year before the Kentucky Derby. So after growing up, learning the song is real pleasure for me to be here and see for myself the beautiful landscape the song is about. The United States is currently pursuing the ambitious goal of developing new technologies to address the challenges like climate change, global supply chain issues, which confront the modern world. Korean companies like Advanced Nano Product are proud to work with you, our American partners, to help achieve these admirable goals. After 70 years of alliance, our countries and our companies are committed to working together. And because of that, and the leadership of people like Secretary Yellen, our economic partnership remains robust. Our bilateral trade volume is more than $200 billion per year, double what it was a decade ago. And the US is Korea's second largest trading partner and recently overtook China as our top export destination. In the last 3 years, Korean investment in the United States has surpassed $100 billion, including ANP's investment right here in Elizabethtown. This success is largely thanks to a commitment at every level of government to create an environment where new technology companies can thrive. And few regions have been better at creating that environment than right here in Kentucky. It's not a coincidence that ANP chose to build their plant in Hardin County. Governor Busher and your local officials have sought out foreign investment and taken the necessary measures to bring factories and good jobs right here. Your state has become a leader in advanced energy technology. As a result, the surrounding area is filled with built-in customer base of electric vehicle battery manufacturers looking to use nanomaterials ANP is making here, including Korean companies like Blue Oval SK. The fact is, Korea and Kentucky make excellent partners. We have a lot in common. We both love fried chickens, bourbon, and Muhammad Ali. And we are both known for our music. You created bluegrass, we created K-pop, right? And we both grow up learning My Old Kentucky Home. So, but more importantly, we share the same commitment to create an environment that welcomes high technology businesses who have a commitment to address our society's most pressing need. That is why I'm so happy to be able to join you today at this new factory and why I appreciate so much being welcomed with such open arms. Let me conclude with the slogan of the US forces in Korea: we go together. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the stage the Honorable Andy Beshear, Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Thank you all. Good afternoon and welcome to ANP's first facility in the United States of America. How about that? And when deciding where to be, they chose us here in Kentucky. Mayor, they chose here in E-Town and in Hardin County. We are on the biggest, best win streak that this Commonwealth has ever seen. And today is another day worth celebrating and ensuring that our partners know that we are going to do everything in our power to make them successful. This is going to be a wonderful partnership where we are going to make incredible products, and our goal is to make this the most profitable facility you've ever seen so that you'll continue to expand it time after time after time. Advanced Nanoparts is a South Korean-based company that's been in operation for more than 20 years, specializing in products for various markets, including electric vehicles and solar. And now, A&P is taking Kentucky's leading role in the EV revolution to the next level. We are here to celebrate plans turning into a reality. It was back in August of 2022 when A&P and the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development announced plans for this $50 million project. Even better, the project's creating 93 new jobs for Kentuckians in this region at an average wage of $40 per hour, including benefits. These are good-paying jobs, the type of jobs that can change the trajectory of a family, bring stability, offer opportunity for the next generation, and keep more of our kids at home because we're providing the types of opportunities that they grow up dreaming about. As governor, I get to participate in a lot of announcements. Now, the very first announcement's exciting. It's the hope. The groundbreaking is the progress, but the ribbon cutting is the reality. When our folks are filling these jobs, when a community is changed and families are altered for the better, the ribbon cutting may seem like the most ceremonial, but it is the most meaningful in what it does for our people. A&P manufactures conductive materials for use in EV batteries and established strong relationships with well-known battery manufacturers. I don't think we'd be here today without Blue Oval SK, and let's thank them for their investment in us. When we made that announcement in Frankfurt, we knew that it was planetary, that it was so big that it would have its own gravity, that it would bring in amazing suppliers and friends to SK On as well as Ford. We knew that it would change our Commonwealth forever. It remains our single largest investment in our history, where virtually every state was trying to secure it. And it came here to Glendale, to Hardin County, and to Kentucky. And I'm so proud of all the work, especially that our local officials and economic development did to secure both that and A&P. Let's give them a big round of applause. We in Kentucky call ourselves the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America. And I think the investments, the gigawatt production hours bear that out. Just since 2020, we've announced over $11.6 billion of investments in EV-related projects in Kentucky, which are creating more than 10,100 new jobs for our people. We're not just positioning Kentucky to be that EV leader, but hopefully we'll be the EV leader overall, not just batteries. We want the whole thing right here in Kentucky. You look at I-65 and the fact that it is now the EV battery alley, and we want to make sure we extend that to other parts of our state as well, and A&P being a critical supplier. This facility brings us one step closer. And just think, the Kentucky we grew up in, being not a leader, but the leader in this technology, in where things are going to happen, and the next generation of automobile manufacturing. I remember Bill Ford at that announcement saying, I thought about what I would tell to my great-grandfather, telling him that this is probably the biggest change in the automotive sector since the Model T. And he said, I think my great-grandfather would say, why did it take you so long? I want to thank Janet Yellen, and I want to thank the Biden administration for their investments in this country, and I know what they've meant to Kentucky. The bipartisan infrastructure law has meant we're building that Brent Spence companion bridge without tolls that so many of these products are going to move across. Our state's received over $2 billion as part of the American Rescue Plan's coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. That's been $500 million we put in water and sewer projects, hundreds of millions of dollars expanding internet access. We are grateful for those dollars, and we have put them to good use for our people. Another $1.5 billion went directly to cities and towns across the Commonwealth, where the funds are bettering the lives, investing in infrastructure, and ultimately moving our Commonwealth forward. And the President's Inflation Reduction Act has supercharged our VEV efforts across the board. In February of 2022, the President announced the launch of a $5 billion nationwide initiative to build out the national EV charging network. The National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program was backed by Senator McConnell, and let's thank him for that, as well as former Congressman John Yarmouth. As part of that program, Kentucky will receive nearly $70 million to create up to 40 EV charging stations. We broke ground on our first in Richmond about a month ago, but we are less than a year away, I think, from having a charging station in Kentucky at least every 50 miles on every one of our interstates and parkways. This infrastructure is coming, and it is coming fast. And we are currently seeking proposals for that last part to get us up to the 40. In the end, the alternative fuel corridor here in Kentucky will be as strong as anywhere. Because, folks, if we're going to make the best batteries anywhere in the world, we want to be able to charge them fast, we want to be able to charge them in the best way, and we're going to work with our partners to make sure that the infrastructure we put in serves the batteries they make. And these stations are going to change the way we travel, allowing families to easily charge up as they travel our great Commonwealth. Remember, we have broken every tourism record in our history each of the last 2 years, with outdoor tourism being sought more than ever before and us having some of the most beautiful landscape anywhere in the country. Now is the time to make sure that we can bring those travelers here. So again, thank you to Secretary Yellen for being here today and for her support and the support of the administration. And I want to thank the leaders at Advanced Nano Products for locating in the Commonwealth. Finally, Consul General, Ambassador, thank you for being here. We have had a relationship with the Republic of Korea, but it has grown in such great ways. In my budget, I've proposed funding for us to set up an office in Korea to ensure we can continue these conversations. And in the best news of the day, and talking to the ambassador, by the way, if you sing My Old Kentucky Home, you have to pay taxes. In the best conversation of the day, I said, thank you. I mean, think about the billions of dollars of direct foreign investment from the Republic of Korea. Thank you. And he looked at me and said, there's a lot more coming. So let's thank the ambassador. So folks, this is a banner day. You know, when we made the announcements, we were excited. We knew it'd change everything, but the reality is coming. And Mayor, this right here, this city, this county is becoming the center of our EV universe. Thank you for all of your work, and to everybody. No matter what you did, you played a role. Whether you're in local economic development, state economic development, whether you were kind to someone that was here from out of state or out of the country. Remember, economic development is a team sport. It is not red or blue. It is not Democrat or Republican. It's how we band together to ensure our divisions never keep us from creating that next great job and that next great opportunity. God bless. Thank you all very much.
Please welcome to the stage the Honorable Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here with Governor Beshear, whose leadership for Team Kentucky is driving change on many shared priorities. And my thanks to Dr. Park, to Ambassador Choi, Consul General Kim, and Elizabethtown Mayor Gregory for joining us here today. We're here to see Advanced Nano Products nearly $50 million investment for a facility that will produce parts for EV batteries. It's part of a boom in EV-related investments in Kentucky, and those are part of the massive investments in manufacturing and clean energy being made across the country, driven by the Biden administration's economic agenda and state and local actions. As I've said before, President Biden and I are focused on creating pathways to and opportunity for the middle class in America. America's growth isn't meaningful if the gains are not shared, and a strong middle class will continue to lead our future. We're supporting the middle class through a strategy I call modern supply-side economics, which aims to expand our economy's ability to produce and create good jobs. Through the American Rescue Plan, then the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, and the CHIPS and Science Act, we're providing funding and fueling private sector investments that will grow 21st century industries. And we're particularly focused on reaching people and places that have not received the level of investment they deserve. These communities are poised to take advantage of opportunity, and their success is key to our country's success. For too long, opportunity in America has been too concentrated on the coasts and in wealthier communities. Good schools and good jobs haven't been evenly distributed. Unemployment rates across the country range from below 2% in some metropolitan areas to above 10% in others. And where you live affects your children's opportunities. Children who grow up in less wealthy neighborhoods are more likely to be less wealthy as adults. And many communities that were once at the center of the American economy have experienced economic challenges over the past few decades through no fault of their own. They're places where American steel, textiles, and many other industries were born. But over time, opportunity dwindled, jobs disappeared, and neighborhoods became hollowed out. And other communities have always had significant potential, but have never gotten the investment they deserve. Middle-class Americans across the country have faced other challenges too. Over the past decades, it's become harder to buy or rent a home, and harder to afford education and health care. While 90% of my generation earned more than our parents did at age 30, only half of the children born in the mid-1980s earned more than theirs. Past government efforts haven't worked to bring back or create jobs and the dignity that comes with them. Strategies like trickle-down economics cut taxes for those at the very top, with the hope that the gains would reach the rest of the economy and boost growth, but the results are clear. Trickle-down doesn't fuel growth, and only the wealthiest benefit. As President Biden said last week during the State of the Union, we envision a future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and biggest corporations no longer get all the breaks. Policymakers on both sides of the aisle who thought that people would or should just move to where the opportunities were seriously misguided. We all understand the appeal of staying close to our families and to the communities where we grew up. And people who do want to move often face barriers such as cost, with additional barriers for those who've been historically disadvantaged, including Black workers and workers without college degrees. And the result is that 80% of Americans live within 100 miles of where they grew up. From the start of this administration, the President and I have been determined to change this. Americans across the country have immense talent and willingness to work hard, but not enough opportunity. And investing in people and places that have been underserved can yield the biggest bang for the buck economically, giving us greater returns on public investments. When job opportunities come to disadvantaged places, employment increases by more than in places that are already thriving. And changes to local employment rates can lead to other benefits, like reducing crime and generating revenue for local governments. Some of our country's proudest moments have been when we've made deliberate efforts to invest in all American communities, as we did in the New Deal and the Tennessee Valley Authority's commitments to rural infrastructure and electrification. But that focus hasn't been sustained. And now the Biden administration is putting theory into practice and pursuing an economic agenda for the 21st century focused on reaching communities that have tremendous potential but not enough opportunity. We started with the American Rescue Plan, enacted just over 3 years ago. The ARP's State and Local Recovery Funds program made unprecedented funding available to state, territorial, local, and tribal governments. The state of Kentucky received more than $2 billion, and another $1.5 billion went directly to cities and towns across the Commonwealth. We designed the program to be flexible for state and local governments because communities know what's best for them. And we also helped make sure funds got to where they were needed, such as by making low-income households and communities automatically eligible for the broadest range of support. Analysis just published by Treasury staff shows that the ARP's grant programs delivered significantly more funds to disadvantaged and economically hard-hit areas than to other areas. And these and other policies help drive an historic recovery. GDP growth is strong and inflation has fallen significantly, though we continue to take action to bring prices down, including healthcare costs. It's also been the fairest recovery on record. A nearly 20% gap in the unemployment rate between metropolitan and rural areas has now been eliminated. The American Rescue Plan also laid the foundation for investments in our medium and long-term growth, paving the way for other policies to continue driving change in communities across America. Take infrastructure. After years of talk in Washington about infrastructure investment, President Biden got it done, with a focus on getting resources to communities that had been overlooked. Usually, wealthier states invest more in infrastructure. Now, bipartisan infrastructure law funding is going to states with the lowest rated public infrastructure and with lower median household incomes. And funding is being broadly distributed. In 2019, only 5 states accounted for about 2/3 of all public transit investment. But Treasury analysis shows that those 5 states accounted for only about 40% of bipartisan infrastructure law funding, and states across the country are receiving many times their pre-pandemic public transit investment. The Inflation Reduction Act was designed with underserved communities front and center. It provides enhanced tax credits for projects in low-income communities and in communities where coal mines and plants have shut down, limiting opportunity and reducing local tax revenue. It also creates an option we're calling direct pay that allows state and local governments, as well as nonprofits, to take advantage of IRA tax credits. Like with the ARP, the Treasury Department has been making sure funds get to the places where they'll matter, such as through outreach to cities across the country. We've seen investments grow significantly. Companies have announced almost $650 billion in investments in clean energy and manufacturing across the country since the start of the administration. Pre-IRA, clean energy investments in energy communities, namely places that had traditionally relied on industries like coal, were at only $2 billion a month, compared to $2.5 billion in other places. Based on updated Treasury analysis published just today, since the IRA was passed, we're seeing $4.5 billion per month announced in energy communities, even more than the $3.5 billion announced elsewhere. Funds are also going to places that face other challenges. 69% of clean energy investments announced since the IRA was passed have been in counties where the employment rate is below the national average. 75% have been in counties where the median household income is below it. And 84% have been where college graduation rates are below the national average. We see similar patterns across all regions of the country. Our focus on reaching all communities is not just a Treasury priority, it's a government-wide one. It's driven by President Biden. Through the Department of Transportation, funds are going to reconnect communities that have been cut off from good infrastructure. Through the Department of Commerce, grant programs are connecting workers to good jobs in economically distressed neighborhoods. And the administration has established 31 technology hubs, building coalitions to drive growth in manufacturing. Well, we're starting to see the impacts from our policies and investments for middle-class Americans in communities across the country. Here in Elizabethtown, A&P's expansion will create almost 100 jobs, and they'll be good ones, expected to pay an average hourly wage of $40. The fact that Fort Knox is nearby means there's already interest from veterans, among others, who haven't always had the opportunities they deserve. Across Kentucky, households are benefiting from repaired roads, clean drinking water, and expanded internet access, such as in Boone County, where the state and local fiscal recovery funds program will enable high-speed, affordable broadband to reach every household. And Governor Beshear's economic plan is working alongside federal incentives to bolster key supply chains. In Glendale, Ford and SK Innovation partnered to create Blue Oval SK. With the help of a federal loan, they're building what will be one of the largest EV battery manufacturing facilities in the world, employing 5,000 workers. And A&P will supply Blue Oval SK, and A&P will also look to supply others, up and down I-65 and I-75, providing materials not just for EVs, but also for other clean energy technologies, including solar. As we build resilient supply chains for 21st century industries, we also build stronger communities. Here in Elizabethtown, the unemployment rate last December fell to 3.9%, near a decade-long low. And wage growth in Kentucky from December 2022 to December 2023 exceeded the national average. Now, of course, our work to fuel growth in communities across America is far from done. And I'd like to end by announcing 2 additional actions we will take moving forward. First, Treasury will join the Thriving Communities Network alongside other federal agencies. This will allow us to strengthen collaboration across the federal government to target resources from our administration's historic investments through the ARP bipartisan infrastructure law, CHIPS and Science, and the Inflation Reduction Act to communities with histories of economic distress and systemic divestment. Second, Treasury will significantly expand our Inflation Reduction Act outreach efforts by conducting direct outreach to 150 cities across the country on the opportunities available to them to support their transitions to clean energy and especially access to tax credits. These are cities with populations of more than 20,000, poverty rates of 20% or more, and that have experienced population decline. These are cities that can benefit from the IRA, but that may not be aware of opportunities or not yet taking advantage of them. These additional actions will reinforce what we're already seeing in Kentucky and across the country. The Biden administration's policies and federal funds are fueling private sector investments. Early investments drive others to build ecosystems. State and local governments are providing vision and support. As President Biden put it, it doesn't make the news, but in thousands of cities and towns, the American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. And America's comeback is building a future of American possibilities. Thank you all for being here today.
The official party will now join Secretary Yellen to participate in the ceremonial ribbon cutting.